Okay, let's get started. Welcome everyone to the VOLTHA TST meeting on September 6, 2022. Before starting, please keep in mind that this meeting is recorded and will be published later. Okay, do you see my screen with the agenda?
Yes.
Okay, let's start with the first item. So I saw that there are a few items added by you, Joy. First, I'm going to go through the existing items from the latest meeting to get this status of the tasks. Then later we can discuss your items. Okay, the first one is VOL 4766, VOLTHA comment to show ONU OMSI counter statistic. Holger, I showed that you prepared a document, and I put the document link to the agenda to let the people to see the document.
Yes,
yeah.
As you know, we had some discussion about it, and I now changed the location of the command as discussed to the get value branch of the Volt control. And then meanwhile, I also uploaded a patch for the VOLTHA Protos. That would be the precondition that I can provide the patch for the OpenONU adapter, because I would need this proto definitions to implement the provisioning of the RPCs. So actually, now I need some. I would need some volunteer who could provide missing implementations in the core, the VOLTHA, and the core and the Volt control. So it's the first question there at this point here: who can do the work at core, and the protos should be changed to who can do the work at the core and the Volt control.
Okay, I guess there is no need to do anything in the core because the getX value APIs is already there in core. I don't think we need to do something in core, but for VoltCTL, yeah, probably there will be some.
You mean there's nothing to do in the core to call these?
No, I think we don't need to do anything in the core because the API is already there, and core doesn't do anything. Just transfer the API to the related adapter. So the adapter, decode the getX value and see what's requested in it and send the response. So there's no need to do anything in the core, I guess.
So actually only the Volt control end is missing, right?
Yes.
Okay, I see.
Okay. So are there any volunteers here to do this in VoltCTL? Okay, currently there's no. So you have the task. So anybody, if interested in do this change in the VoltCTL, please go look at to the related task to implement this change in the VoltCTL. So now I'm going to the next item. It is VOL 4746. OLT app is removing flows based on the latest status entry. This is done by the patch, I think, done by Gustavo, but there is an action here for Gustavo to create Jira task. Gustavo, are you with us today or not? I think Gustavo is not in the meeting today, so okay. And Joy, there's an item on you also for, doing some regression test. for the existing flows.
Right.
Workflows.
Sorry. That's on my list of things to do. I'm not at a point where I can start digging into it just yet.
Okay, and then you will talk with Gustavo and organize this.
Sure.
Okay. And the next item is about VOLTHA controller. Previously we had some actions. There's an action item on Amit, Girish, and Joyu to check if this test job can be moved to his pro site and use the Redis Whitebox OLT instead. Anything here? Any update?
I know some of the config, this is probably jumping ahead a little bit. Girish and I walked through the setup, and I know there are some configs for the Zixel over in the Berlin lab.
Yeah.
I'm not sure at this point if it's fully functional yet or not. But there has been some progress on it.
Yeah, we had a discussion yeah, on that, on what are the configuration needed, but nothing is done yet. We'll get to that this week.
Okay. Okay, the next one is about OpenOLT. It's about the bug in OpenOLT. After it's restarted, there are some flow failures during provisioning. I saw that the patch is reviewed and merged. So the owner is Gustavo. He's not here, but I guess there's nothing to here. Check. I'll check this with Gustavo if we need to do anything for this task or if it's finalized.
Do we know which job is failing? So probably it should be successful right now.
Actually, I don't know the job. Yeah, go ahead, Krish.
Yeah, so Gustavo provided a custom ONOS image with that app. With that, we have been seeing successful runs, multiple times. So indeed, that seems the fix. But the app needs to be released. So the app needs to be, the app changes needs to be merged, and a new ONOS image needs to be released. Only then you start seeing passes on the master. Right now all the pass is with custom image. But I guess Torsten had a question over Slack. I'm not very familiar with ONOS app changes. It seems like it's not just doing code changes, but you have to modify the POM XML to modify the versions. So not very familiar with that. Has anyone else done ONOS app release in the past? Or you could also look at how apps were released in the past. I mean, you have Gerrit history, so you can always look back how old changes were released and just do similar. And following that, we should release the ONOS. ONOS release should be pretty simple. There is a VOLTHA ONOS repo. So you go ahead and just reference the app version that needs to be built along with ONOS image and submit a patch and merge, and that should take care of the rest.
I'm not familiar with the process, unfortunately.
Yeah, so Andrea has done multiple app changes in the past on OLT app. So you have a history of what needs to be done for the app to release. So it's always easy to figure that out. not sure it's documented anywhere else in Volta docs, but you also have history in Git.
Okay, Joy, can we check if there is any document for releasing these applications, the ONOS applications, on the web or I mean Volta docs domain?
Helps if I take it off mute. Yes, I can check on that.
Okay. Yeah, the next item is about Redis charts. I mean, there was the change upstreamed and merged. But
Hi, Mahir.
yes.
We have merged these changes.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, and yeah, there is one ask from Sarkant to support user-defined PVs. So that is a different thing, but this charts using the copier for the charts, that thing is already taken care.
Okay. So do you understand that there's nothing to do with this task anymore? So we
Yeah,
can
this
remove
will-
this.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we can. Sorry.
Yeah, this is done, but I have a question for Grish. So for the etcd, how do we define the persistent volumes in the Kubernetes? Or did we have that in our previous deployments?
We did test with persistent volume for etcd. I mean, that's when we swapped the normal disk to NVMe because we are not getting the required performance.
Yeah, okay.
Isn't that configuration already available in Helm charts? And I haven't checked.
Okay, I see.
I mean, has anyone checked?
I think I remember that etcd was using empty type volumes before, so we didn't need to have the persistent volumes for the etcd. But for the Redis, so this current patch requires a host path persistent volume.
Okay.
And it needs to have a that directory should be created before the installing the chart. So so I think we have another I think another issue created for that one, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Yes, Sarkant.
Yeah, I'm just looking at etcd Helm chart, and I don't specifically see anything for specifying the volume. I mean, all it says is persistence enabled false, or I mean, you can change that, but there is no specific volume configuration here. As you said something about empty. What was that?
Yeah.
Okay, empty volume. Okay. Yeah, I'm not very familiar with Redis. I mean, from the patch, it looked like Tinoj was on the right path in terms of configuration of volume, but that is all much I can say.
Okay. So we can say this is done, but we have a following issue for that one.
Okay, so for the following issue, who will take an action, at least to open the tasks to see the.
You can put on my name, Tinoj.
Okay. Okay, the next one is about what's the delayed and disable comment on Volta during the OT disconnection. And then, Daniel, are you still on this item? Do you have any, questions or problems? Or what is the latest status about this?
Okay, I don't have any update from last week. I was just looking into the document and trying to understand a bit better the flow of the delete process, but not any update for now. I'll continue working on it.
Okay. Joy, let me give the stage to you for these 3 items. This Python 3.10.6 plus issue.
Okay. This is something I ran into a few days ago when I was working in the VOLTHA docs repository. Currently, Python 3.10 is not usable with the code base. There have been some module changes around the collections module. It's been placed in a new namespace. The changes were first introduced back in Python 3.3. As of Python 3.10, the changes are now required, or it's no longer optional. And if you have any older code that interacts with the collections module, the legacy code will break with the new syntax. And the place I was running into problems with was a module called robots, which is used in documentation, and I suspect it's also used in testing. I dug into this a little bit more. So we have requirement text files in some of the repositories that outline what Python modules we should be using. In there, there's also it's kind of a hard-coded dependency that was added a long time ago between Python 3.5 and 3.6 to work around an interpreter change. But part and parcel with introducing that static library, some of our code base is now kind of dependent on Python 3.5. This is just a general FYI. We should update Python in the modules so the latest interpreter is usable. But in order to do that, we're going to have to remove the dependencies on 3.5, basically there was a static module created with some fixes in it. It's hosted by a personal GitHub repository. We'll just need to remove the dependencies on that and start using the latest modules that are available through PyPy or the PyPy archive. But we may end up needing to make code changes, and I don't know if there will be any testing behavior changes if new modules are introduced. But just FYI, we have a dependency on old code and some things that would need to change to be able to use the newer version of Python. The second one for resource creation, this is just a question. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Let's talk on that first. Yeah. For Python, I think you said this affects the Volta docs and testing probably.
Correct.
Yeah,
oh, go ahead. Oh,
we,
I was going to.
we don't use Python, anymore in any model in development side. So in this discussion, we can also discuss to perhaps remove the Python dependencies in coding side. Probably Volta Protos, etc. We are we are compiling also for Python and producing Python sources for Protos. And I don't know if anywhere else we use the Python or not, or any dependency in the make files or build system, etc. We may check this and also discuss if we should remove this Python dependencies in coding side. Okay.
Yeah, here I use the I still use the Python proto files, but everything else I'm free of. So just the Volta protos,
Uh-huh.
but that's just a very simple build command. So
Okay, got it. Okay, only open. I mean, said this to open the discussion. You know,
Mhm.
so we can discuss it if it's used, or I mean, the community decide to. It's good to have it on the development side. I don't have any objection for this. Okay.
Well, the docs are affecting something called, there's a tool called Sphinx, and that's where the Python dependency came in there. For the, I've seen a few vague references to, I think it's open core test or something like that. And there was another Volta repository that had the dependencies, but I can pull together a list.
Okay. Okay.
Mhm.
Then we can discuss on the list after you prepared it. Okay.
Sure. It might be testing harness dependencies, but I'll check on it.
Okay.
Are we all?
The next one.
Oh, okay, sure. Okay, so the resource creation, this was just a general question. Would people find it helpful to create a central mailing list like VOLTHA TST at Open Networking to contact everybody on the TST list about questions or things like that? Or is it people are fine with sending individual email out to several people?
I think there is such an email alias already.
Do you know what it is offhand?
I can look it up and push it to chat.
Okay, that works. Okay, scratch that then. That's all I had.
Yeah, okay. I think it's good to have this mail if we don't have. If we have it, we may update the persons in it, you know, the email addresses in it. Perhaps it's not up to date.
I just pushed it to chat and I'm pretty sure it is up to date.
That looks
Thank you.
usable.
And okay, I see another item added to the list. Denise,
Hi there.
did you add it? Yeah.
So the ONF Marketplace, we launched it a couple of years ago, and initially it just had products that were part of the CI/CD ONF CI/CD pipeline. We're now expanding the program and offering several other tiers, and we want to be able to add more products and services that are compatible with all of our ONF projects, and was hoping to solicit feedback from this team as to other solutions that are Volta compatible. So one of the new tiers is vendor assessed, where they basically present some test results and documentation as to how their solution works with an ONF project. The next level up is an ONF recognized third-party validation, such as an operator that is using the product as part of their live production network. So the types of products that would be valid to include for Volta that could be added to the ONF marketplace include switches, servers, OLTs, ONUs, servers. So would very much like to get from you and get your help in putting together the list of vendors. And if you can email me with the vendor and a contact there, we can, thanks for adding that, Timon. We can, I'll contact them and invite them to participate in this program. We anticipate, launching this program expansion in early October. So would like to get, as many of these other vendors added to the marketplace before that time. And most of you on this call here are close to and know who those folks are and those products. So would really appreciate your help in putting this together. I sent you out, I think about a week ago, the slide deck, and if you do have any questions, please email me. Timon added one of the slides from the deck that kind of talks about what the 3 tiers are. of the marketplace, the vendor assessed, third-party qualified, and then of course the continuously certified. So yeah, so would appreciate your help on this. Does anyone have any questions or feedback on this?
So let me just add up. I'm not sure it was emphasized, but I mean, the number one goal is to broaden the marketplace and help strengthen the projects and also make it easier for operators and others to find and source equipment that's compatible with VOLTA or with other projects. And to date, to get something in the marketplace has meant that somebody has to add equipment to the pipeline. It was a pretty high bar. And so we've already had some success with other projects using this new model where, like, the lowest bar now, somebody can just self-test as long as they write up a test plan. It's well documented. It's something that somebody else could replicate, and they can basically assert that they now work in a certain way. And it includes the BOM, and it includes specific instructions and screenshots and whatever. Then we are happy to list the product in the marketplace. And so much easier entry point. And what we would like with this community and all of our project communities is for you to consider both products that you may have and also products from third parties that you may know of, and try to help get them into the marketplace so it's easier to find and assemble solutions.
Okay, this includes both software and hardware resources, doesn't it?
It does, yes. And hardware is sort of the more obvious one, but it includes software, and it even includes services. If there's a system integrator or somebody who does things, so it's a little bit, more of a gray area. The more and more you move away from hardware components. Hardware is very obvious, but our intent here is to be as open and broad as possible. There are lots of different ways companies can be active in the different projects, and so we're trying to accommodate that.
Okay.
Okay, feel free to send me any emails with suggestions. So I want to reach out proactively to folks, and I have an email put together. I'll explain the program to these vendors that you're suggesting and invite them to join along with, the criteria that they need to qualify for each of these levels.
So I think the reason I suggested or asked Denise maybe to come in and speak to this group is that ONUs in particular are very, very poorly represented in our work. OLTs are the bigger, more expensive boxes, and we have a number of them in the marketplace. But ONUs are very, very poorly represented, and we think this is an opportunity to really change that. And I know that there are at least 4 or 5 different vendors, ONUs out there that are compatible. And I think we do a very poor job of highlighting that to prospective users or operators who want to engage and use VOLTA. And so if you would, for each of you, maybe share a contact with Denise for somebody at a new vendor that might be interested in participating here, that would be really, I think, great for the project.
Okay.
Yeah. All right, thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you, Denise and Timon. Yeah. We again highlight the importance of the ONF marketplace and show all of the community that the VOLTA and SIVA are working with different vendors, devices, and different softwares, etc. So please spare some time to share something with Denise that okay. The last item on the agenda, it's Joy again. I think your item because Holger requested a bug
Oh.
fix branch to be opened on ONU adapter Go for VOLTHA 2.0, 2.10. So
Correct. This was just to let everyone know the VOLTHA 2.10 branch was created. And just when Holger has a chance, if you could just let me know if it's in the right state for whatever bug fixes he needs to put in.
Yeah, I've already checked. It's okay for the Open ONU adapter, but I think there was another side discussion whether we probably for the next release already create this branch throughout the whole project, because Joey, you stated also that we have a little bit of inconsistent state about existing branches for the 2.10, for example, right?
Correct. Yes.
That was probably a new point to decide for the next release whether we should deviate from the on-demand branch approach to a mandatory branch creation when we release a new VOLTHA version.
That might be something to consider. If we went through and created bug fix branches at the time of release, we basically wouldn't have to go back, and you kind of have to figure out the configuration and where things need to go. Whereas if we just created the branches as a byproduct of doing the release, everything will be there and devs can just go in and introduce bug fixes without having to wait for a branch to be created later on. That's just a thought.
It's just a question if anything speaks against this to do this.
actually, I second that, and I also suggested that in the previous meeting that we should open these branches during the release. I mean, just after the release is done, or we may tag all of the repos with the same release tag, so that we can easily go back and do the lazy branching. But it's better to open all of the branches in all of the repos during the release automatically. So I second that.
I would vote for a real branch, but Joey has to figure out what is best.
Okay.
Joey, that's pretty much standard practice for major networking vendors.
Correct.
It's
Yes.
a very sensible approach.
Okay. Cool. And I guess that's probably all I had for it.
Okay, and this was the end of the agenda. So I want to leave the stage. Anyone, if have any comments or anything to discuss, bring up. If no, then I'm going to end the meeting and give 20 minutes back to all of you. Okay. Then bye. See you next week.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Okay. Thanks.
Cool.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Fine.